Over the last few months, I've recently reconnected with old friends from back in my middle school, high school, and in my university days. Now, I don't get out very often, so I tend to cherish every interaction I can have with my friends. It was such a nice treat to be able to get together again and see some faces, many of whom I haven't seen in over a decade. And as we exchanged laughs and stories, I couldn't help but be overcome with a feeling of relief and joy. Relief that the people who at one point I lost contact with are now here in front of me and knowing they're fine, and a sense of joy at the fact that each one of them is an older, wiser, and better version of themselves. I was just really proud at each of their individual success. Now, this got me thinking about my own journey leading up to this point in my life. I was always a competitive person growing up. I participated in sports, and I also got into some competitive video gaming. And once I outgrew my interest in video games, I transitioned to competing with my peers in the broader game of life. And it was at that point in my life when I started obsessing over achieving success or being identified as someone who's successful, however incoherent my definition of success was at the time. But regardless of my obsession, a feeling of failing was more prevalent than succeeding. And that was largely because my view on success was so distorted, which led me to be resentful every time I see a familiar name on Facebook or Instagram posting anything that resembled any kind of success. It was definitely a rough time in my life, feeling so perpetually disappointed and envious of other people, especially of my friends. But luckily, with a combination of good luck and perseverance, things turned out for the better for me. And somewhere along my journey, I began to change what success looks like and means to me, and thought it might be helpful to share this to some of you out there. I actually got this idea after I finally got the point of meditation. It took me a couple of months trying to get meditation right until I realized that the point of meditation isn't to block any thoughts from coming in, but rather to notice when those thoughts do come in and gently redirect your attention back. Now, in contrast, the conventional way we look at success goes something like this. From our starting point, we declare a goal and formulate a plan. We then define success by sticking to that plan and making it there, while failure is when you're seemingly stopped somewhere along the way. Now, this can be problematic to a lot of people and is enough to deter them from trying out new things and just settling for the status quo. But what if instead we define success by being able to notice each time we veer off our path and redirecting ourselves back to where we need to be, rather than reserving it for only when we get there? We're still aiming for more or less the same thing, but without the risk of getting discouraged when we feel like we failed. Now, I'm reminded of this every time we go out hiking, because hiking serves as a great analogy for this viewpoint. Because you see, the implicit goal for all hikers is to get to their destination and back. But sometimes not all trails are clearly marked, so oftentimes I find myself going off route only to find out 10 minutes later that I have to turn around and make my way back to the right one. And I think it's been really helpful for me to celebrate those realizations of being off route as points of success, because it inevitably will get me to where I need to be and make the whole hiking experience less painful. Now, the goal could be anything: saving up for a house, going on a trip of a lifetime, changing careers, or it could simply be sticking to new habits or breaking out of a bad one. This new perspective isn't going to get you to your goals faster or make you immune to failure, but it makes the journey more pleasant simply by changing moments of failure to moments of discovery about yourself. Okay, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for lending me your ears, and I hope some of you out there find this helpful. Until next time, take care and stay kind to yourself.